like to welcome everybody to today's podcast. My name is Brandon.
And this is Scott.
And we are the owners of IrishScott Productions, a video production company focusing mainly on the wedding industry. And today we would like to talk to you a little bit about how we came about, how we got started, and kind of go from there. And then as we go on with a couple more podcasts, we will start to get deeper into the wedding industry, bringing on guests from the wedding industry and talking about various topics, whether it be planning, caterers, entertainment companies, photo booth companies. We've got a host of potential people that want to come on and talk about their services and how it relates to the wedding industry. So, Scott, why don't we talk about a little bit about how we got started? I remember initially the conversation actually started, I don't know if you remember this, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
We
actually it started a lot earlier than that when we kind of reconnected over Facebook. We were talking back and forth on Messenger a lot when I just moved back to the area, going on almost 6 years from now, and we could never figure out a time to go get drinks or whatever. So we finally reconnected and did go to that Buffalo Wild Wings like you were talking about, and we just started talking, and I think you brought up you wanted to start a photo booth business. And and I had kind of aspired to do photography, so I was like, man, photo booth isn't really where I want to go. It was more of I wanted to be in wedding photography, or at that point it was just family and senior photography.
Yeah, we sat down and we talked about potentially getting you involved and going into business with me, because I had the DJ company, Irish Entertainment, up and running, and was doing really well with that. And I wanted to get a little bit more deeper into opening up a number of photo booths to be able to offer to prospective clients in the central Wisconsin area. And we had a conversation, a great dinner of course, wings, and unfortunately I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, you were not on board with the photo booth idea. But then what transpired was pretty interesting, because I don't know if it was a week or a couple weeks or maybe a month. I got thinking about, your passion for the photography, but also that, years prior to this, you kind of got involved into the videography world on your own, and it just got the wheels spinning a little bit about, how can we incorporate that into, what we're doing in the wedding industry, and that's when I brought that to you about potentially getting involved in videography.
Yeah. We both went to the same high school. We're from the same town. We've been friends for, man, what has it been? Must be going on 25 years, right? It's got to be a long time. I remember playing Little League Baseball with you, actually. So way back, 12, 13 years old, whatever. And we both were in the same class. It was called, what was it called? Media Productions, I think.
Media Productions.
Yeah, Media Productions, with the same teacher, and it was an all ages class. I'm a little bit older than Brandon, and we kind of just had free reign in that class. It was so unstructured yet structured. We would just get an assignment for the week and just go and film with the huge VHS camcorders, if anybody remembers that. We also had the small mini DV camcorders, and I was a senior, and that kind of sparked my interest in video. So kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school, and I ended up going to school for television production in Minneapolis, and it just kind of went from there. I worked in TV for a year, and year or so after that, and did some other things with television production. Actually did some weddings back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and it's definitely changed. The industry's changed, and just great way for us to like reconnect. And we did a couple, I think that's kind of what we were talking about, right? We did a couple weddings together where you were DJing and I was just kind of helping out, setting up. You know, you would be on the mic and I would be pressing play back there for the Grand March and stuff. And then you're like, hey, you should bring your camera the next wedding. So I brought my camera and I took some pictures. We threw them up on your Facebook and website. And then I think that like one summer we did like 6 or 7 weddings back to back. And I just started showing up even though you weren't paying me, and I was taking pictures. And then we just started doing like those little testimonials with the bride and groom. And we just kind of joked we should make a video production company and call it IrishScott Productions. And we just kind of looked at each other and laughed, you know. And then we were, I think the next day we just kind of were joking around on Facebook and like, yeah, we should make a Facebook page and call it, you know, IrishScott Productions. And it just went from there. I don't know.
Yeah, and then you designed a logo, the first logo, which, you know, it wasn't the greatest, but it got the job done. And then we kind of, you know, designed something a little bit more contemporary. But yeah, you know, you kind of, you know, were very interested in that, in the video side, and doing those testimonials definitely helped my business out, you know, being able to direct my potential clients to past clients of mine and showing them how much fun they had. And, you know, that just transpired. And then, you know, we went to one of my clients and said, hey, you know, we're interested in, you know, just shooting some video, no cost to you. We just want to do kind of a test run. We'll give you a copy. You know, let us just shoot some of the, you know, reception. And, you know, they're very open to it. They were great clients of ours. And we kind of just, we had some GoPros. We had some DSLRs.
Yeah. I think we had a DSLR, yeah. And like 2 GoPros. But yeah, we worked with what we had. It was pretty fun.
And you know, Grantia wasn't probably the greatest you know, video, but it got the wheels spinning on hey, you know what, this is something that we can do. And I think
and there was a need in the market too. We kind of both saw that. You saw it more than I did, but you're like, you're doing wedding photography and there's just a ton of great photographers in this area, but what we don't see, at least back then, it's kind of changed a little bit now, but what we don't see is a lot of great wedding videographers, people that are focused in the video side. So that's kind of where the spark went from there. And, you know, we did that one video for free, and then I think the next one we did, we kind of just wrapped it into like that testimonial thing we did, but we gave them maybe a 5-minute video or something. And then I think we actually did the next one on how fitting, almost 5 years to the day, because it's New Year's Day, we did our first official wedding video. I never even thought of that, man. How crazy is that? We're recording our first podcast the same day, 5 years later, we did our first wedding video.
Yeah, it's comes full circle, right?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, just like you were talking about how you went to school in Minneapolis, and now I live in
you live in
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Area,
so
yeah. It's an interesting how things kind of come full circle like that. But you're right. I think in the area that you now live, where I did live, there's a lot of quality photographers, and it's a saturated market. And honestly, anybody nowadays can go out and buy a camera, you know, get a nice DSLR, Even phones now are just taking some incredible pictures, and it's hard to compete because they're going out there and basically giving away their services, and maybe they have some good pictures, maybe they don't. But the video, typically for the most part, I think majority of the people that get into video are pretty decent. There's obviously going to be exceptions. There's always a couple that, maybe the quality isn't the greatest that we feel. But I feel it's a lot harder because editing is such a harder thing than editing pictures. I think editing film, I think it takes more time. You have to be able to tell a story. There's just a lot more involved in it, and you've done your research, you've done your homework, and finding the style that you want to shoot, which has been really good because we know what our identity is.
Yeah. To speak about editing photos versus video, as I do both, they're equally as challenging, but if you shoot the photos correctly, you can change so many things in post. White balance, color, exposure. If you shoot in RAW, you can change all those things, where if you shoot in video, if you don't get it right in camera, you can change it to a point depending on the type of video you're shooting. Yes, there's Red RAW, there's Canon RAW, there's all those different things that you can do with video now with that newer technology. But on a wedding day, it's so hectic. You don't want to shoot in those super high resolution formats. One, the media is just so expensive, and two, you're shooting all day long. It's not like you're just click, 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 click. Even if you click off a few hundred photos an hour, it's completely different than shooting an hour worth of footage, because that hour worth of footage is an hour plus, even longer, to go through in post when you get back home and you import it onto your computer. So that way, time-wise, I would say it's a little bit more difficult to edit video versus photo, but photo does have its challenges. I just don't want to, downplay,
for sure.
Downplay photo for everyone.
No, and no, but there's a place for all of it. There's a place for every piece in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing though, and what I see is, with video, is being able to. Here's what I feel. I feel video is much more emotions, and because you're capturing that moment in a video.
I wouldn't
it's not
say
still
the emotion, yes, but it's like playing with a Rubik's cube. It's so many different layers. It's like 3D versus 2D. Where you just have that one. There can be a lot of emotion in a photo, like a father seeing his daughter for the first time and you catch him crying. That's an emotional photo. But I don't think it stacks up to see what actually happens after that. Him caressing the back or her touching her hand. Or just, you can tell a story so much differently in a video versus a photo.
Right. I feel there's more emotion that comes out in video. That's my feeling, and especially when you tie in the right song, along with that video, and that's another big key. That's like what I'm trying to change in the way people approach video. They approach photo as, well, we have to have it, because everyone has photos. If you don't have a wedding photographer, there's something going on in your wedding, or you don't have the budget for a wedding photographer. There's one thing, but when everybody thinks a wedding, they think venue, DJ/band, and wedding photographer. No one thinks videographer, and that's what I'd like it to switch to. Is let's put us up there with those three musts. You need a place to have it. You need someone to document, and you need someone to entertain your guests after everything happens during the day. So let's be held as high as the photographers, as far as price, as far as respect, and as far as someone
someone looking for us to book. Because in my mind, we're the same, and as important as a photographer is during the day, because we're doing the same thing. It's just in a different way. We're telling a story with moving pictures versus still pictures. Really, that's it.
Yeah, and based on kind of what I'm seeing, and that's going to be a little bit, but that trend is starting to kind of go that way, where we're getting a lot of people inquiring about video, and I think it's because the style of video has changed drastically from 10 years ago.
Yeah, because 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, people thought, oh, it's just some guy in the back of the church holding up his handy cam, and if you're lucky, he has a tripod, or maybe he gets the shot of the bride getting escorted down the aisle, something like that. No, we actually make a feature film where you're the star. It's the same way with technology now. You can pull out your phone and show everybody your entire wedding album in 5 minutes. You can do the same thing with the video now with YouTube, and everyone has 4G, now 5G on their phones. You can watch it in a coffee shop with all your friends on your almost 7-inch iPhone now. They make them, why isn't it second nature? Oh, let's watch my wedding video real quick, or just something like that. That's where I see this type of industry, especially in this area, getting to.
Yeah, and it Central Wisconsin in general is always, it seems like, one of the last states to get on board with things. So it's going to get there. I mean, it's going to get there, and we see that by the number of people that we're getting requests from year in and year out, where it's increasing, and it's a matter of time before people will, that's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in time, and this is years down the road, where video could potentially overtake photography, just because of the way, the high definition, the 4K, the beyond
4K. You can pull 4K stills now that are pretty good, almost printable images. I wouldn't blow it up to a huge poster size, but we've been asked countless times by photographers that we work with, oh, I missed this shot, but you guys were rolling. You think we could get a still from you? And sometimes we have the shot, and yeah, sure, we'll pass it on to you. And sometimes it's just like, the camera was shaking or something. Sorry, we can't accommodate you. But we like to work with the photographers too. And same way, if they, we missed a shot, hopefully they got a still shot of this flower or the ring or something like that. The big thing about the wedding day is to know who you're working for and who you're working with, and communicating and working as a team.
Yeah, communication is by far the number one thing, and I tell my clients on the entertainment side, that's such a huge thing with me and my company is communication, because I find that communication, if you're on point with all the vendors, the photographer, videographer, the caterer, the venue coordinator, if you're all on point and you're letting people know, what's happening, what's coming up, almost every time the wedding has been fantastic, because everybody knows what's going on. So, I do have to say that, not just because we own a company together, but we have worked tons of weddings, and not just on the video side, but I've worked with you with the photo booth. I've done photography alongside gigs, and it is great, because that's one thing I have learned working with you and learned from you directly, is you need to communicate with all the parties. There's nothing wrong with calling the photographer. There's nothing wrong with calling the venue. There's nothing wrong with having a conference call with the wedding planner, or a meeting with the bride and groom, wedding planner, DJ, whoever, just so everybody's on the same page, and making the day the best for the bride and groom, the bosses of the day, really. Yeah, for sure. So, Scott, I think, we kind of want to head towards wrapping this segment up. And like I said, we're going to have some additional podcasts coming up here. I know we're talking about communication. That's something I definitely want to talk a little bit further on, as far as, why it's important and some of the things that we do with our clients that, as a DJ, I've seen other videographers not do. So I think that's one thing we'd like to hit on. Some other things we want to hit on is, like I said, talking to some of the important vendors out there that, are an integral part of someone's wedding day, whether it be in the venue coordinator, the caterer, photographer. We've got someone that wants to come on that owns a photo booth company as well.
Wedding planners,
wedding planners. Yeah, there's just a host of people that we'd love to have come on, ask a couple questions, let them talk to us about how they make their business strive and what they do for their clients. And a lot of times their clients are also our clients, because we refer people to these people, and vice versa. It's kind of a great community like that when you get working with someone, and they really respect what you do. They tend to send people your way when they're looking for those things. So we want to talk to those people, and whatever else might come up. I think we can hit on some other things, some things we feel maybe can be worked on in the wedding industry, some things we like, some things we don't like. I mean, those are some things just thrown off the top of my head that we might be able to talk about. But, I would say, Scott, you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for listening. You can check us out at our website, IrishScottWeddings.com. That's IrishScottWeddings.com. Also, all our social links are on the website as well. Give us a follow on everything social, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and I'll be posting this to all the social links that we have.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thanks for coming on with us today. And everybody, thank you for joining us. This is the first official podcast of IrishScott Productions. We wish everybody a wonderful 2019. And if you did get engaged and you are looking for a videographer, you know who to come to. So give us a shout. Would love to talk to you about our aspirations and what makes us tick, and see if we can be a good fit for your special day. So once again, thank you for joining. We will catch you on the next one. Please stay tuned and have a great day.